Why do we always see Mexicans in janitorial work, construction, landscaping, blue-collar labor? I always assumed it came down to education. Erasmo broke that assumption in about 90 seconds. Bachelor's degree in industrial engineering from Mexico. 5 years of professional experience. Back home, they called him Ingeniero Erasmo. He moved to the US in 2019 for one reason. An engineer in Mexico earns less than a janitor in the US. Okay, fair, I'd make the same move. But 2 years into working the Costco floor, he still had not applied for a single engineering role. I asked him why. He said, "I no apply for something unless I know I'm going to get." Oh, and there it was. He didn't have a skill problem, he had a confidence problem. Every time he met someone new, without being prompted, he'd introduce himself with, "I'm an engineer." The man wanted everyone to know who he really was. He just could not bring himself to go prove it. Fair warning, this video is going to be uncomfortable. We're going to talk about race, culture, and psychology. Leave your assumptions at the door and stay with me. Hispanic Americans are 19% of the US workforce, but they represent 61% of painters, 52% of construction laborers, 52% of maids, 50% of landscapers. There's an academic term for what Erasmo represents. It's called brain waste. Over 2 million skilled immigrants in this country are right now doing jobs that have nothing to do with what they trained for. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, now working as carpenters, janitors, restaurant staff. 30% of Mexican immigrants with a college degree are in low-skill work. But statistics didn't explain what I saw standing next to Erasmo at 6 a.m. One sentence did. I no apply for something unless I know I'm going to get. By staying a janitor, Erasmo protects a story. I'm an engineer who just hasn't applied yet. And the longer he doesn't apply, the more the janitor job starts to feel like the real one. 2 years mopping floors starts to feel more real than 5 years of engineering. Shame has one job. Build an excuse everyone will accept and protect it with your life.
They judge me before they even know me. That's why I'm better off alone.
We'll come back to that excuse. Now, he probably didn't expect to work as a janitor when he got here. Most immigrants have big dreams of the things they'll accomplish in the great land of freedom. They fantasize about the lifestyle they'll live and how proud their family will be, only to face the harsh reality of no job opportunities and no respect for a Mexican education. The US is roughly 80 to 100% more expensive to live in than Mexico. So that $35,000 janitor salary, in purchasing power, is actually pretty close to what Erasmo was earning as an engineer back home. To them, he's an engineer living in America. They're picturing movies. And here's what nobody warned him about. In Mexico, he was Ingeniero Erasmo. In Latin America, that title carries weight. Your family knows it, your neighborhood knows it. It's in how people greet you on the street. In the US, none of that made it through customs. Close your eyes and picture yourself. Whatever image just showed up, you didn't build that alone. You built it from the reflections around you. Parents, teachers, co-workers. Every interaction is a tiny mirror showing you who you are. Psychologists call this the looking glass self. Charles Cooley, 1902. We become what the people around us keep telling us we are. In Mexico, every mirror around Erasmo reflected the same image, Ingeniero. His family introduced him that way. Now drop him in a Costco break room at 6 a.m. Co-workers see a janitor. Customers asking where the rotisserie chicken is, see a janitor. There's no colleague saying, "Ingeniero, good morning." There's just the name tag. Call a man a janitor long enough, and eventually he stops correcting you. When every mirror reflects a smaller version of you for long enough, you stop questioning the reflection. Okay, so at this point you might be thinking, the guy has psychological stuff going on. Can't he just apply anyway? That would be true in a vacuum. We live in America, which has a complicated maze of rules just to prove your degree is real. For Erasmo to get his engineering license recognized, he'd need to pass the Fundamentals of Engineering exam, then the Principles and Practice of Engineering exam, pay licensing fees per state, and possibly take additional coursework. Most immigrants don't even know this path exists. 40% of American employers don't recognize foreign work experience. Let's say Erasmo finally does apply for an engineering job. The hiring manager pulls up his resume and sees 2 years as janitorial staff at Costco. They don't take the time to find out what he had to do just to get to this country. They don't see the 5 years of engineering experience buried under the new American title. Research shows 50 to 85% of jobs are filled through personal connections. Engineers know other engineers. Erasmo knows restaurant workers, carpenters, and car mechanics. His network isn't bad, it's just pointed in a different direction. So every blank stare at the Mexican university name confirms what shame was already whispering. What I built doesn't count here. You're supposed to be grateful you made it here. Grateful for the opportunity your parents couldn't have. If you're supposed to be grateful for any job, then wanting a better one starts to feel like ingratitude. Pushing for an engineering role starts to feel like complaining about the country that gave you a chance. The guilt shows up before fear even gets a turn. When was the last time you saw a Chinese or Indian immigrant working as a janitor? Indian and Chinese immigrant communities have an unspoken rule. You are expected to move up in the world. Hispanic culture runs on a different value. Dignidad en el trabajo. Dignity in labor. Cualquier trabajo honesto. Any honest work is honorable. But when it comes to moving up the ladder in America, Hispanic immigrants are statistically among the hardest working groups in the country and consistently among the lowest paid. The same cultural value that makes Erasmo show up at 5 a.m. every day also tells him that showing up is enough. It isn't enough. Showing up gets him $35,000. All of this hides behind one excuse. My English, not so good. We are so used to seeing people who look like him and talk like him working these jobs that nobody thinks twice. Nobody says, actually, your English sounds fine, so what's really going on? I'm afraid that if I apply and get rejected, it means I really am just a janitor. And I don't know if I can survive finding out that's true. Now here's the part that actually matters. We have an Erasmo inside all of us. You have your own Erasmo situation, some version of the same story you're telling yourself about why you can't succeed. Some part of yourself you're quietly forgetting, some excuse that's socially bulletproof. I think mine is that no matter how hard I work, I'll never be a full-time YouTuber. And that's where I stop and catch myself. Every force I just described doesn't only work on immigrants, it works on all of us. The mirrors in your life are telling you something about who you are right now. The question is whether the reflection is the truth, or just the version of you that's easier for everyone to accept.
No.